Excuse me. Hey. I'm gonna make sure I'm streaming here. Oh my goodness, I literally just choked on water. I'm gonna die. All right, let me just load up my screen here. I'm excited for this little quickie tutorial because I threw it together so fast. Oh my gosh, legit just choked on water right before I was going online. But anyway, I'm super excited to just be here today to do a little quick tutorial, and hopefully some of my people from this morning can join or whatever. And I'm especially happy to bring a little fast tutorial because I put it together really fast. Like I sat down an hour ago and I was like, gosh, I thought I'd have more time this afternoon, and I took a little, I had something come up, so I had to take care of something this afternoon. And I just sat down at 4:30 and I was like, well, I said I was going to come back online around 5:30. So I was like, that's going to be my objective. So I have a little folder on my computer where I put like inspiration and stuff. Hey, Fatima, glad to see you. And so I was looking through it, and one of the looks, one of the pictures that I had for the inspiration was this look by Balmain. And of course, I always say it like American a little bit, but I was like, oh my gosh, I should totally revisit this. And I set this aside, and I put 2 of these looks in here because of this pearl work, and I just thought it was super cool. And in fact, it really reminded me of these layer styles that I did called Creative Couture. And in the Creative Couture collection, I created like some pearl layer styles. And I was like, when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to play with this and revisit this with my Creative Couture layer styles. So that's what I did, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So hang on one second. Hey, Nicole. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? I think it's nuts. Let me just see if some of the people will get on here. Okay, so let me just get myself sorted. Oh my gosh, that totally threw me. Okay, so this was the original look here. And so I was like, okay. Oh my goodness. Actually, let me just hold on. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to do was make a brush. And I wanted to kind of like create this like bubbly sort of shape. So let's go here. So the first thing that I did was I made a dotty brush. So I'm just going to take my regular brush tool, and I'm going to grab, I had like just a blob brush, and let's go over here. And now let's see here. Let me just make a new document really fast. Okay, create. And I'm going to make a fast brush. So just hang on. Okay, so I'm just working with like a circle brush. So what I did was I pulled out the spacing, and then I went into the shape dynamics, or no, I went into the scattering, and I think I scattered it a little bit. I put both axes, and then I upped the count. And let's see here, let's turn my thing black. Okay. Oh my goodness, my throat has recovered. Dear Lord, I thought I was gonna aspirate or something. That was kind of like freaky. But okay, so we're going for something like this because I wanted to kind of have this fun, bubbly sort of effect. So let me just I've got a little brush like this, and I'm not really worried about, this isn't a multicolor brush, so like that's quite different than what I'm used to. So hang on one second. I'm just going to go to the bottom of my tools and save this. And then let me see here. Where did I put this? No. Okay. Dotty. All right. Let me, pearly shapes. Okay, this is the one that I made. So let's just work backwards here. All right, yeah. So this is just a fun little like scattering the circles. And yeah, so let's just look in here. So all I did was I put the scatter up, I put the count up to 4, and I played with the spacing. So we're cool with this. So this is where I started with. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over here with this look, and let's just zoom in a little bit now that I can breathe again. And I'm just gonna select, like, I'm gonna take my eyedropper tool and then select a cream in here. And so I want that kind of like creamy kind of color. So we're happy with that. Okay, now I'm going to go over here, and this is where I was like playing with some of my brush strokes whenever I began. So this is kind of what that brush looks like by itself. So I'm just gonna put it on top of this, and maybe I'm just gonna, hold on one second. Let me hide some of this here. So let's work over here so we can see it side by side. So we've just got this little scatter brush that I made, super easy, nothing special. And what I want to do is, I knew that I have my layer style that I could use for it. So I'm going to use one of my Creative Couture layer styles, which I actually keep in my Creative Cloud library. So I'm just going to open this up here, and these were the caviar styles. And what it is a pattern overlay, and I had created these like years and years and years ago. And I was and I add them to illustrations like as overlays to add texture. And now they're quite dark here, so hang tight. Let me see if, okay. And now the thing about the Creative Couture overlays, I think this is the one that I use. I think it was number 10. So basically they take whatever color that, it's a pattern overlay, and it has a luminosity blend mode. So it's gonna take whatever color you put that on and, you know, apply the effect in that color. But this was cool, and it kind of has the effects that I want of these like pearly sort of textures, but it's too dark. So what I'm gonna do is I've actually, like, I keep some color change layer styles on hand, but I'll show you what they are. But I'm just gonna lighten that layer. So I'm just going to like hold down my shift key and take this lighten layer style and apply that to that layer. And you have to hold down the shift key, and you have to drag it over there. So I've done that, and so now we're getting closer here. So I'm totally digging this. This is looking right. This is looking correct. But I love this whole thing, and I want to use that as like the base to match this the pearly texture over here. But what I don't want is that black in that negative area. So I will, what I'm gonna do, this is like a little fast thing here, is I'm going to, first of all, I wanna work non-destructively. So I'm gonna duplicate that layer, and then I'm going to, I'm gonna rasterize the layer style. So I'm gonna like right click here. I'm on my Wacom pen, and it doesn't, let's see here, there we go. Rasterize the layer style. I'm happy with that. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my magic wand tool, and let's just get a little bit closer here. And okay, so magic wand tool, I've got close. And what I'm gonna do is, like, I'm leaving the tolerance about 22, and I'm turning contiguous off, and I'm just gonna select some of the black inside there, and then I'm gonna hit cut. And let's see here. Let me hide my black. So that's cool. I'm happy with that. So that actually pulled that black negative area. And so that's kind of how I use the base of creating my layer style, but like adjusting it a little bit for my design. And I'm going to just put behind this, just so you can see that this is cut out. Hang tight here. There we go. So let me just put this as white. And now you can see like I've removed that. So that's kind of like one of the pieces of like this illustration and taking this over. So that's what I did that's what I did here. And so that's using layer styles, which is one of my foundations of like the things that I do. So we've got the layer styles, but then I wanted to have a little bit of pearl fun with those big pearls with the mixer brush. So I'm going to show you a couple different things that I did. Now, one thing that I did is like, I'm taking an inspiration from this look, and it's like, the idea is just to get the vibe of it. And so it doesn't have to be like totally like perfect or whatever. You know, I can add my own little thing, but obviously like I really got the inspiration from that look here. So, but one thing that I wanted to do is put like a creamy pearly brush stroke behind those, because I knew that I'm going to have these spaces behind these little pearly sort of effects. And so I was like, oh, you know how I can fix that is like with a creamy stroke. And so what I did was I went to another one of my looks here. So this is from the same collection, and you can see that they still have like the total pearly vibe going on. And what I did, and I'm wondering, let's here, let me zoom out here. This is what I did. So I just selected this area here. So one of the principles of my my brushes and stuff and like saving time is I love to paint with images essentially. Like I'm always doing that, whether it's sampling colors from my color blending technique or sampling colors directly from photos from my mixer brush technique. I'm always kind of like taking shortcuts and painting from images. So what I did to make that creamy brush stroke is I just went over here and I got my elliptical marquee tool, and then I just like took an area, I think, I don't know, somewhere in here. So I just made a circle and I copied it, and then let's take it over here, and then I pasted it, if I can find where I pasted it. Let's see here, hold on. Let's make it its new layer. And I just enlarged it. So that's what I did here. So I enlarged this. So I'm showing you how like I put all the different pieces together, and then in the end we'll put them together to make like a design or whatever. So I've got this, which has all the pearls. And so now I'm going to take one of my wet paint mixer brushes, and I think it was like it was from my 24 karat gold collection, and I took brush number 4, I guess it was, and I'm just going to show you. This is like a gold brush, and I've actually already loaded it for you with gold. But what I'm going to do is I want to load it with that pearl, and so I want kind of a pearlescent effect. And so the easiest way to get the pearlescent effect is to just sample from pearls or sample from the image. So I'm going over here to this, let me just undo here because okay, there we go. So to this little color palette that I've just done, and I'm going to option and click, and that's going to load that image up into my brush. And now I'm going to take that little blob of like pearls that I just made via layer style. I'm going to make a new layer behind that, and then I'm going to just make a cool pearly brush stroke. So now you can see that's how easy it is, and that's how I made that brush stroke. So very cool, very easy. We're just playing with all of our tricks here, and we're doing kind of like building up like one brush at a time. Okay, so there we go, like get back to there. And oops, I forgot this restream chat. Oh no, nobody there. Okay. So we've got the pearl that we made via the layer style, and I made a little brush to go with it. And by the way, I'm always making brushes for projects. So, you know, sometimes I don't have like exactly the brush that I want for a project. So I just quick make them on the fly all of the time. But it really is one of the beauties of Photoshop is being able to like sample from the images. Like that is so cool. And sample multiple colors. You can't do that like in all the programs. So it's a lot of fun. And then I want some other like little fun pearl brushes. So I'm going to show you a little trick, and let's see here. I went ahead and saved this brush, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. You can make little like pearls like this. And this is, again, it's using the mixer brush tool, and it's sampling from the images. So, because I like to do the easy thing. So let's go over here. And so I don't know which one I took it from. Let's zoom in here. Okay, so I think I just grabbed one from here. It doesn't really matter. But I'm gonna take a pearl and out of my image, because I want that like perfect sort of pearl. And I want to use that as for my mixer brush. So I made my little selection here. Okay, and you know, just go over your thing, and I'm just gonna cut it, and then I'll go over here to this my document here, make a new layer, and paste. Ugh, wherever, oh, I guess it's right there. Well, anyway, so just pasted it over here. So now we've got our pearl that we're gonna sample from, and let me go ahead and undo this here, and let's look at our inspo. So I just thought this was so crazy and cool. I just had to do something with it. So I took my same brush that was like, hold on, my pearl creamy brush. Okay. Oy, hold on. This one. Okay, so this is the wet 4 loaded. So that was the brush that I just made. And what I did was I simply, actually, I think I spaced it out. I think I turned off the shape dynamics. And no. Which brush did I do? Let's look here. Oh yeah, so I left the shapes dynamics on, but all this is this is a circle brush, and it's made, you know, I'm using the mixer brush settings. This is a circle brush, and I don't have, I left the wetness on, but really it's just repeating that, so repeating that image that you loaded up into that brush. And so my brush shape is a circle, and so I space that out. And then when I space that out, hold on, then it'll just repeat that circle. So that's one of the cool things about the mixer brush that you can do. So, and I'll have this one. This one was, yeah. Oh, I played around also with the shape dynamics. Okay, no, this one, yeah, no, that's it. I do have some shape dynamics on, but really I'm just using it as a stamp. So you have the circle brush, you have it spaced out, and when you load that image up into your brush, and then you just press and stamp, and then it's going to stamp that pearl all over. So that's kind of how I added what you can see over here. So here you see I've just added these pearls, like these big pearls around here, just to add that depth and like just kind of add on. So right now this main whole pearl motif consists of one creamy pearl mixer brush, the pearls that actually consist of layer styles, and then finally we have this pearl stamp brush, which I'm using with the mixer brush to just repeat that shape essentially. And so that's just one of the really fun things that you can do with the mixer brush. So we have got that. And then the last pearl brush that I did, hang tight here, was, let me turn this back on. Okay, these are some of my other brush things that I played with. Oh my goodness, okay. So the last thing that I did was I took that brush that I had made, this pearl stamp brush, which is just repeating that pearl, you know, so that I could put that around and add some, you know, whatever. So then what I did was I turned it into a brush like this, which is more dotty. So what I did was I took the size jitter up and the minimum jitter down. And so now it just makes this really cool string of like random pearls. And we can just play around with these kind of edges like that. So we can, did not mean to cut that one. So we can create some of these fun little things. So it's just about sampling from the image. And so if you look here to like this little party sort of invite that I created based off of this look, then let's check this out. So I just kind of want to like capture the vibe of it, you know? So I wasn't really like, I put this together really fast, but I wasn't really worried like, oh, is it perfect? You know, like, just to give you guys an idea, you know, you can do what you want with it afterwards or whatever, but, you know, just to give you the vibe. So that's most of the pearl stuff. And yeah, and so for every element that is on this like outfit or this inspiration, then I'm like, okay, which brush can I use for that? So for the red bits here, I used a brush from my Couture fiber collection, and it's kind of a patterny sort of brush, and I'm just going to give you a quick demo of it. So this is like fiber 8, and you can see the brush in action over here. This is where I was like testing my brush strokes and playing with it, and I just loaded like I think originally I loaded a red from my Modern Impressionist collection, but to make it look like really cool to match this, what I did was, let's find my other look. I went ahead and sampled some red directly from this look. So I'm just gonna hover over this red because I'm gonna use this red with my color blending brushes. So I'm using my selection tool and I'm going edit, define pattern. Now, where is it? Hello, there we go. Click OK. I'm usually always hitting Command M because I made a keyboard shortcut for myself for that. So I'm like, where is that? And then also I want to sample the cream here. So I'm just going to go over here, take my selection tool, hit Command M, click OK. I don't need to name it. It's not that deep. So let's go here. And now I'm just going to quick show you these brush strokes. So let's hide the ones that I've already done. And so let's see here. This is fiber 8, and I'm going to grab that red that I just sampled, and let's make a new layer. And this one is very, it's very monochrome, but I'm going to use that. It's okay. But you can see the little variation. Even just a little bit makes such a difference. And like, for example, if I use this brush, let's use the same brush, but like just in a one color mode. If I click, let's click a red and then paint it. Well, this brush looks pretty the same, so it's okay. But essentially this brush can make some really fun color blending because like, say I use this rose that I just sampled. Well, there you're gonna get like all the sort of like layers and lines and stuff. And this is really fun to like kind of imitate sort of a textile. That's where I got actually these brushes, the inspiration for these brushes. So what I did was I just took this brush number 8, and I think it looks really cool and really gives like a subtle sort of like those lines here. So that was our inspiration. And I just took that and let's see, I had like a slightly darker red behind it. And let's just do this here. So, and I just, you know, kind of went like, well, let's see here. This was smaller. So I take my brush size down, I'll hit my left bracket. And then I just, you know, went through and created these stripes. So I'm going to just leave that back where it was. So that's the brush that I used for that. And actually, like, as soon as I finish this tutorial or whatever, then I'm going to, I'll have this as a tutorial toolkit. So my subscribers will be able to, you'll have all these brushes already loaded for you. So you can have fun, do something like, do something on your own with it, and feel free to like tag me and stuff. So I've really been enjoying the community and the, you know, a lot of the people from my newsletter are jumping on, and they're, you know, like if when I do a live stream, they'll do their version of it later and tag me. So definitely I want to like encourage that more. And then, yeah, so hang tight here. And so I just kind of like made my own riff on it. And, so I, you know, I just drew out this red shape. I'll pull these layers back. You know, added the pearls here, and then, you know, playing with this idea of this black and white stripe, just, I did the same brush stroke. It was this fiber brush number 8, and I just used my things that I sampled directly, my color palettes that I sampled directly from the outfit, and created those stripes here. And then one other little thing that I did was I noticed that it has this like really scratchy sort of crazy lettering. And so I was looking in my library, in my fonts library, and I didn't have anything like it. And it was funny because then I went to Adobe Fonts, and bless Adobe, I love Adobe Fonts, but you know, they're very professional and stuff. And I was looking for like a scratchy one, and I'm like, I think this is actually a job for DaFonts. And like literally I went over to DaFonts and I typed in scratch, and I found like 2 of these fonts. So I think it just completes the vibe. It's, you know, I mean, they're not like elegant, like upscale fonts or whatever, but it works with the vibe. So, you know, I actually hadn't been on DaFont in a long time. So that was kind of crazy. But the fonts that I ended up finding they're called Scratch Point, and hold on, let me see the other one. And then Lower Scratch. So obviously I just typed in Scratch, and that was it. Ursula, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Glad to see you here. And yes, I'm gonna have the brushes available for download. But yeah, hopefully you picked up a few tips, and I really love that, like sometimes using the mixer brush just as a stamp, you know, so you can have fun with it. But I will have those brushes available for you. And what else? And then the last thing that I did was I noticed that on on here we have like kind of some tulle, some lacy sort of things. And of course I'm always thinking, okay, how can I do that with a brush? So I had already done some lace brushes. So the first thing that I did was like, okay, let's go look up my lace brushes. And so here was one of the ones that I used, which was Tulle and Lace 14. And I'll have, like, after I'm done, I'll have all these linked down below. But okay, so hang on just one second. So I'm going to put it in black. So this is the original brush because this is actually a large canvas size. So let's like kind of go down here. So this is a Tulle sort of inspired brush. But as I often do with my brushes, I often adapt them for my projects. So they're always changing. I'm always making variations of them. So for this one, this is not going to work. This is a lace brush, but it's not showing up. So for this one, I have got to adjust the brush a little bit. So obviously the first thing that I need to do is adjust that pattern that's inside the brush. So I'm going to go into my texture, and I've got that lacy sort of pattern built into the brush with my texture. And I'm just going to take the scale up like this. And so now I've got a brush that's got that texture built in. And I don't know if I want the dual brush, but anyway. Yeah. I think this is one of the 2 brushes that I had played with, but again, to see, all I did was like just adjust the texture to change the pattern inside the brush. And then I think the one that I finally ended up using was the Tool and Lace Brush 1. So I took this is the Tool and Lace Brush 1, which is actually a little bit of a watercolory sort of one. So I'm going to go into the brush texture, and in case you're not familiar with these brush settings, you go to Window, Brush Settings. So just pop that open, and then I've got that texture built in the brush, but I need to take that up, up, up. And I still need to take that up some more. And this one is like a brush that builds up, like if I put it light, you know, you can just barely see it. It's got like kind of wet edges. And then if you go hard, it's more opaque. So that's pretty close to like what I was looking for. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And so that kind of references this. So I love the challenge of like sometimes taking a look with like a look from the runway and just seeing if I can kind of redo it. And so I had a lot of fun with this one, even though I did this one super, super, super fast. And hold on one second. So that was pretty much all the components. And so I'm just going to like take this back a little bit and just kind of show you how I built this up, because I showed you how I did all the brushes. And so let's just pull this back and just kind of show you how I built that. So let me just swap and grab my mouse, and let's see here. Yeah, we'll get this. So let's just peel back all these layers. I'm going to kind of group them. And we've got our kind of a pearl group, mainly pearl group. So what I did was the first thing that I started with was just with, I made a simple shape in red. So I wanted to kind of reference that sort of organic movement of pearl through there. So I knew I would just, you know, I made this red shape here. And then, let's see here. Oh, and it wasn't the exact red I want. So whenever it's not like that, then I just create a color fill layer, create a clipping mask, and then another clipping mask. And that's when I use those, the Couture fiber brushes, and made that like sort of, this sort of textural sort of reference to this, this sort of textile, I guess it is. And I think that's just really fun. I love catching those like tiny details and everything. So did that. And then we put on the pearls. So hold on. I actually did the, what do you call it? The lace after it. So let me just see where we started. So like I did before, and I had showed you already how I did this, so I'm not going to like redo and re-show you this, but I did that technique using that layer style from the Creative Couture collection. I'll link that later, and created that sort of cluster of pearls. That's like kind of my base. And then I did the creamy pearlescent brush stroke underneath it, because I didn't want to have those gaps and stuff, you know, inside those pearly textures. So that kind of solved that issue. So there we're getting that sort of vibe. And then I dropped in those stamp pearls that I had showed you how to do on top of all those. And even I could have, and even like here I added those little like dotty sort of pearl touches here with the ones that were like variable. And so I added that. So that's kind of the whole the pearl thing. And then after I finished that, then underneath the pearl, I added some of those little like lacy touches to kind of, you know, have a little fun with that. And also on the background, then I added those creamy stripes with that brush number 8. And hold on one second, I'm just going to show you. Yeah, that fiber brush number 8 with the cream that I sampled. And did I make them kind of big? Let's see. Okay, so I just kind of, you know, did like this. But one thing that's like a little subtle sort of thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to have like a little bit of, I mean, this does kind of actually catch that vibe, but what I did was I just created a layer mask on top of that. So I hit layer mask, and then I took my gradient tool, and just with my classic gradient, foreground to transparent, I kind of added just a little bit of depth in there just to kind of, you know, add a little depth. And then that was cool. And that was pretty much it. And then finally, I just added the text on there. Oh, wait, let me put on the old thing. So then I just added the text in there. So I don't know if it's like a final thing that I would do, but it's like an idea. And I just love to take it sometimes as a personal challenge to like take a runway look and see if I can just capture that essence and make it, you know, like a digital background or a invitation or an illustration. Sometimes I've taken runway looks and like, oh wait, oh, I missed some chats. I took a runway look and turned it into like a monogrammed letter or something. Okay, mainly, oh wait, that's some spam. Beautiful brushes, thank you so much. So that was just a quick one. I totally threw that together super fast, but I really think it captures the essence. We've got the look here, we've got the thing here, and you know, you could just make your own version of that. But I really think it captured the essence. And so also what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the brushes that I used on this already preloaded for you, as well as my source files and all of that, so you guys can play around. So that will be available to all of my Behance subscribers, so check that out. You can subscribe, like it's like $10 for the month, and you can download every single one of my Behance resources. So there is a ton. There's like 300 and going on 400 brushes. You get like the Celestial Gold Mine collection that I just launched. You get so many resources. So definitely check this out. And some of my other stuff, I just did, this morning I did a live stream for taking some feathery brushes and creating some floral motifs. So that's a lot of fun. But I would really love to see what you guys create with this. So feel free to tag me or whatever. And later on in the evening, I will upload these brushes. I just want to have time to organize it, but I will make those available to my Behance subscribers. Isaiah, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, after my like major choking incident to start off my live stream, I literally, I have a kind of a freaky thing. So sometimes my throat has like a freaky closing reflex if I get some water in it, and it's happened for years, and it doesn't happen that often, but when it does, it will, like, if I get like a little bit of water on the back of my throat, it will like slam shut, and it's actually quite scary. It's called aspirating, but it's like, it's a personal issue. But thank you guys so much for everybody who tuned in and tuned into my live stream yesterday. And I'm probably going to be online tomorrow too, so make sure that you're following with the notifications on. And I am going to jump off and get some food and get some dinner, so I'm super excited. So I will see you next time that I'm streaming. And let me just see if I had any. Is it all for personal use? Oh, I just saw this message. No. My stuff is for commercial. The brushes, commercial use. I have tons of people who create items for resale. So absolutely, I am all about like getting your bag, making stuff for sale, like people who make things for sale, like on Etsy, templates, that is like a big part of the people who buy my brushes and buy my stuff. And I love giving you a template for like giving you value, giving you a template to go create something, you know, like if I give you this idea, use it and make your own template, you know, make your version of it. Don't just, you know, copy this or whatever, like not like the exact same layout, but make your own layout. Like I literally love to give you like, you know, a playbook and just, you know, do it. So sometimes I'll have people like message me like, oh, hey, I use something that's like your tutorial, but I did it on my item for sale. I'm like, good. That's what it's there for, you know, as long as it's yours and you put your unique spin on it. Gorgeous. Isaiah, oh my gosh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. That is just, it's crazy. That totally happened to me. And it of course just happened right before I started my tutorial. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks for everybody who hang on, and definitely become a subscriber, and because you get lots and lots of goodies like this. And so I'm just going to get off and upload that stuff for you. So I'll see you guys next time.